Hello, it's Frank Klesitz, CEO of Vyral Marketing. I want to welcome you to this next database marketing hangout where we talk about how to get more clients, more sales, and more opportunities from your number one business asset, the most important asset that you have in your business, which is your database, which is just nothing more than a list of people who know who you are, who have given you permission to stay in touch. And it's our job here at Vyral Marketing to show you how to build a database, how to communicate with it, how to work it for business, which is the foundation of any business, which is a database. And sometimes it's easy to get distracted from working the database, possibly in this case with Spring today, who you'll meet here in a minute, with buying leads, maybe hiring people to make calls or buying them online, of talking to strangers. And sometimes we can get so caught up talking to strangers, we maybe forget to turn those strangers into long-term relationships to fully profit from purchasing the lead in the first place, or just focusing on the relationships you already have that can send you business. That's what's so interesting about the hangout today. And you're going to meet Spring here. She's a top real estate agent in Ogden, Utah, in that region. And she built an incredible team and had one of her record years a year or two ago. And really, I don't know if caught up is the right word, Spring, but really got driving very hard on the internet lead generation for business, while unfortunately on the way neglecting the database. So now what we're going to talk about is she's now reconnecting her database, how she's doing that. So if you find yourself in the same situation, or maybe you got too caught up in online lead gen for real estate or whatever business you're in, we're going to go through the steps of how to reconnect today. And that's the whole title of the hangout, of how to reconnect your database. Before I introduce Spring, if you're interested in learning more about Vyral Marketing, this is the only thing you're going to hear about Vyral Marketing. This entire hangout's educational. If you're interested in the marketing plan that Spring is following and the plan that all of our clients follow to get more from their database, get more sales and clients from database, go to thedatabasereset.com. It literally is going to go through, it's a 20-page ebook I wrote on how to reconnect with your database, round up all those emails, reconnect with them, communicate with them, and find business from that asset. You can download it, you can implement it yourself, or you can hire us to implement it. All the information is online about that. That's enough about me. Spring, it's time to hear from you. Welcome to the Hangout.
Hi, Frank. How are you?
Doing great. So I hope you enjoy my new microphone today. Hopefully this sounds better. This is my Yeti microphone that is on a nice little stand here, so you don't hear me. If I hit the desk, you won't hear it move. That's why you have these cool little microphone stands. Otherwise, I'd be using my normal headset. So we'll see how this sounds. This works for us today. All right.
Sounds great.
So Spring, why don't we start off by giving us the brief story of why and how you got into real estate, and then take me up to the point where you're having your record year last year or year before that. Tell us a story.
So I got into real estate in 2003. I lived in a resort community, and there was a local golf course that was selling real estate, and we lived by ski resorts and whatnot. And I saw the lifestyle that the agents were having with playing golf with their clients and skiing, and I just thought that looked so fun. So I kind of got into real estate as a fluke, in the sense that I thought it was going to be a fun lifestyle job, not per se the real world of real estate. So I got into it, and about 6 months into it, I just started killing it. And I think it was because I had something to prove, that I was so young, and I wanted to be successful, that I showed up every day, made my calls, whatnot. And so within 6 months, they had promoted me, and I was one of their lead agents. And so I stayed in that resort market for up until about 2010. The economy obviously had taken a downturn, and the development that I worked for at that time had filed bankruptcy. And in 2010, I was traveling quite a bit with real estate because I'd received 30 Under 30 with Realtor Magazine. And a lot of the agents that I was meeting were with Keller Williams. And in Utah, Keller Williams at that time was not large. It wasn't even on my radar. But I was going to have to make a change because they were filing bankruptcy, and the brokerage was filing bankruptcy. So I made a transition to KW in 2010 because I wanted to grow. I was a little bit bored, and I thought, they have all the tools and systems to teach you how to build a team, and that sounded fun in my mind. I don't know that I knew what I was getting into at the time. And so I joined, and then I went down the path of okay, what's next? We get an assistant. Okay, what's next? You get a buyer's agent. And I, as that happened, I started realizing, I'm like, hey, I'm getting a buyer's agent because I wasn't calling back my sign calls and all the things you do is when you get to be busy. But I didn't have enough lead flow for those agents that I was hiring. And so that's when I signed up for the internet lead flow and whatnot, because I was like, how do I justify having these agents and keeping the lead flow going. So up until that point, and then the team grew and grew and grew. And right now currently in 2016, there's 9 of us, 2 admins, 7 agents. And that's where we're at today.
Got it. So let's go back. So you follow the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book.
Right.
And you started off by probably working the database of the people that you knew, right? Because that's how you start off. And then as about a year ago, you peaked out by putting 100% of your energy, for the most part, somehow transitioning into all internet leads. So tell us where the internet leads came from, where you got them. I want to hear the experience of what it was like at the peak of all the internet lead generation you were doing about a year ago.
Yeah, I don't know that it was about a year ago. I even think it was probably sooner than that. I think I got wrapped up into the internet lead generation. I mean, my whole business prior to that, so from 2003 to 2010, were people that were referred to me, clients, SOI, all of that. And then when I got into probably about 2012, 2013, I got into the internet lead gen because I felt like I needed more leads for these buyer's agents that I was bringing on. And so what happened is we started getting an influx, and I honestly just lost track of my database because frankly, I was dealing with the people that were right there in front of my face instead of nurturing the people I already had relationships with. And so we got into that mix, and I mean, we're still getting a ton of lead flow, but what I was realizing is even the cost, the ROI, when I really analyzed it and looked at it, we were spending a shit ton of money on internet leads for the return that we were getting. I mean,
what was the most you were spending a month at your peak, like in the summer?
Well, I've always spent probably between Zillow and AdWords and everything. I spend about $5,000 a month, which is a substantial amount for just one source of business for us. So
sure. So yeah, so you said to go down the internet lead generation route, like 100% into it, which means now you have to lead and train buyers agents who maybe generally don't want to work as hard as a listing agent, let's say. And
ISA too, and all of that. Yeah.
Generally speaking, and then you have, you have to hire now someone to follow up with the leads all the time and pay $10, $12 an hour to someone to handle all the lead volume. Now you have to sit around and figure out how the website works and generate leads from the website. There's a lot to it when you decide to go into the internet lead side. And a lot of that time was spent dialing that in. So you got to this point where you got extremely frustrated with that at some point. And I'm sure you're making decent money along the way, but tell me more about the point of that frustration and why you started to think maybe I should go back to my database.
Well, so last year my team was cranking at about this time last year at the beginning of the year. And then I had some turnover within my team, and it was just a huge disruption to everything. And I was sitting here watching all these internet leads come in and following up with them and whatnot. And I just was getting crazy burned out, and it was just the grind. And my coach said to me, he said, Spring, if you don't work your database and your database is the key to your success in your business. And if you don't work your database, your business is going to be running on adrenaline, and you will never have a solid business. And that just hit me so hard because it was like, he was right. I mean, I had a huge aha when I've expanded into a market that's about 4 hours south of ours right now. And internet leads have worked for us up here. And so I went down to that market and signed up for the same platform and and the cost for the leads is just ridiculous for what you get. And so it hit me that everybody's doing it. It's a grind where really, why wouldn't you go work with people that know, like, and trust you and build that relationship and get those referrals and everything. And so I went back to being like, okay, we've got to hit the database because that's really the key to and foundation to our business.
Yeah. I think what's important is to define what a database is at this point. And a database, in my definition, is a list of names that you hold a relationship with.
Right.
Or even better, they've given you permission to educate them and stay in touch.
Right.
A database is not a huge list of a bunch of random emails of people that have given you Mickey Mouse names to opt in to get access to homes. That's an email list. And certainly you can include those people on your videos. There's nothing wrong with that right now. But the real definition of a database is a list of names. It could be a spreadsheet of people who know who you are. And the name of the game is to make that spreadsheet as large as possible to build your influence with as many people as you can.
Right.
So you're burning out. you weren't doing really much at all to stay in touch with the database. So it was about 2 years of neglecting it because you were focusing on internet leads. Like how long?
Yeah, I mean, I just wasn't consistent. I've neglected it for probably even a little bit longer than that. I mean, I've done a few things here and there, but not a consistent like viral marketing plan for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah.
I mean, how many past clients at this point of homes you sold would you have?
Thousands. I mean,
Thousands?
yeah.
Actual homes,
like,
thousands?
yeah, like, I mean, there were some years I sold 250 houses. And so I've been in the business now for 12 years. So we have probably at least 1,500 past clients.
Okay.
So
you went to Tony Robbins too about 6 months ago. So you're
mhm.
talking to your MAPS coach. What was the experience you had at his business mastery event?
You know, Tony teaches that you create a raving fan culture, and you create a raving fan culture with your clients and within your organization. And those are two separate things. But he also really hones in on how you can increase your business just by adding an extra repeat referral client. And we know in real estate, somebody else is going to buy another house that year, right? And that's kind of what he teaches. So how do you get that in real estate is by getting a referral. Get a referral by closing, and or a referral from that closing, not necessarily by closing. And so that's one of our huge pushes this year of, you know, we've built this relationship. I mean, I would think that all of our clients pretty much love us and we love them, and we've formed these great friendships. So coming up with a plan of staying in communication and building that relationship that goes past the home buying and selling process, and working with their friends and family, because we want to work with people that are just like them. I mean, half the times when you get some of these leads that are from the internet or whatnot, you're just chasing around people that you might not even necessarily want to work with, you know? And so it's nice to get those referrals and stuff from people that are like-minded as you. So,
yeah, I think when I went to Business Mastery, and this is what Jay Abraham teaches, who was the guest there. Did Jay Abraham speak at yours?
Yeah,
yep.
He was fantastic. Yeah.
Yep. You have 3 ways to grow a business. You have get new people. You have, sell them more and get them to buy more frequently, right?
Right.
And 100% was basically on new people, and you really weren't focusing more or less on the last 2. So we switched that. So this is really what I want to talk about. We've got 10, 15 minutes in the hangout today, is that transition. And I think the people that are watching this have been in your exact same shoes. They have invested very heavily in lead generation, and they see the writing on the wall that's getting more expensive. Profit margins aren't there. More and more people coming into the market. There has to be some type of way to hedge against that, especially as we most likely are probably maybe heading into some type of a correction. It generally happens every 7 years.
Winter is coming, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Is how do you start kind of reconnecting with the database and at least building it? So that's kind of the whole idea behind these hangouts is what are we doing to build the database?
Right.
What are we doing to communicate with the database? And then what are we doing to prioritize follow-up? So let's spend the next 10 minutes focusing on what are you doing to build the database? Not just you, but also the people on your team. So how do you build your database now?
So our team has in place what we call an 8x8, which is the Keller Williams model, the 8 touches in 8 weeks, and then the 33 touch. So to build a database is that each team member of mine is required to add 5 new people per week into their database. And when I say add them, it's not, like you said, just an email address and I got some internet lead or whatnot. And they have to have had a meaningful conversation and ask them if they can stay in touch. And it needs to include their phone number, email, and their mailing address. And at that point, then they go on an 8x8. The 8x8 is includes the some postcards, some emails, and some pieces of swag per se that they could keep that we will mail to them with our logos and stuff. Once they go off of that 8x8, and it also includes 2 phone calls, one on week 4 and one on week 8. Of the agent calling just to touch base and see, and they can say, hey, this is spring. I hope you're doing well. I just want to follow up and make sure you got the newsletter I just sent you. Great. I just wanted to see if you have any questions on it. No, fantastic. Okay. Also, do you know anybody who's in the market to buy or sell? Just a quick, simple phone call. Once they go off of that 8x8 at the end of it, the second phone call, then they go on our 33 touch, which that now includes the 2 videos per month from Vyral. We do a direct mail piece once a month. We do birthdays, anniversary cards, those type of things, as well as we're doing 4 client appreciation events per year. The reason for the client appreciation events is that helps us have a reason to call our clients without having to call them and be like, "You want to buy a house? Hey, you know." They're fun events that we're super proud of, and they should want to come to. And so that's a great way that we just load everybody up on the dialer. Everybody schedules their time on the dialer and has their call night, and they get to call their clients the week before to make sure that they're coming. And that's really our system. Since I've signed back up from Vyral, I can't tell you how many people that like have reached back out to me of just like, got your video, love you, you know? And so it's been such a huge, it's been huge for us in the last little bit. So
good. So let's go deeper on everything that you covered there. It's a wonderful, wonderful overview.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your team meeting 5 new people a week. So how many people are on your team?
There's 7.
No, all 7 people meet 5 people, even your administrative?
No, okay, so there's 9. There's 7 agents. So yes, we have them. I mean, think how many people you meet. Even it can be an internet lead. So let me clarify. It can be an internet lead, but it has to be an internet lead that they've talked to, asked them if they can stay in touch, and gotten all those pieces of the information. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be somebody that they met on the street, but we're doing other things like open houses. We're participating in several things in the marketplace, so they should be meeting. I mean, I'm hoping that they're on meeting.
You got to be social.
Yeah.
You're being social. Got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's.
But everybody on your team, salespeople and administrative, 5 people a week?
Yep. 5 people a week.
Now, that's, I would assume you have a weekly meeting and everyone goes around and probably shares the people that they're adding, because you have to hold that pretty darn accountable. You expect all those people to actually find 5 people. Have they been doing it?
Yeah. So what we do is I do a daily smart sheet. So at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, a smart sheet email gets sent out to everybody automatically. They import their numbers for the day. So how many calls they made, how many appointments, how many agreements signed, what's pending. And one of those columns is the 8x8, how many people they put on the 8x8. So we have that conversation on our morning huddles at 9:15 of, hey, great job. I saw that you got 3 people on the 8x8, or hey, Stacy, I don't see any 8x8s this week. You better get cranking on it, you know?
Okay, so let's talk about this morning huddle. Explain that.
So every morning at 9:15, we do a huddle, and that is for everybody. So admin, agents, everything. And we go over the smart sheet just so we can make sure that we're where we're at, where we need to be on our numbers, as well as just to check in to see where everybody, because everybody's going in different directions. So my team is required to prospect from 9 to noon daily. So 9:15 is like, okay, we're going to check in. I'm just going to make sure you guys are good. We're going to have a conversation to make sure you're on track, and then you're going to go do your thing.
Got it. Okay. Is everyone kind of prospecting on their own where they want? Are they all like in a room together?
Oh, my office is a disaster, Frank.
I told you, we're going to go deep on this. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, well, so we just moved offices, and so the office configuration sucks because they're huge. They're these massive, huge offices. So we're kind of scattered throughout the market center.
But they're all in the market center calling, though.
Oh, yes,
okay.
Yeah. You're required to be.
Someone's not at Starbucks calling, and someone's at home.
No. They're in the office, and sometimes they're pacing or whatever, but they are there. Everybody is there at 9 o'clock daily. And the reason I put it at 9:15 is some of us have kids that have to get on the school bus or whatnot, but most of the time people are there at 9. I just was sick of if somebody wasn't there right at 9 o'clock.
Make it 9:15. I like it.
Yeah, it was
okay,
9:15.
So you have a morning huddle, everyone gets on a phone call or Google Hangout or whatever, and you go over 15 minutes over how are we working. So basically the way I look at it is you're going to spend 3 hours a day talking to somebody.
Yep.
And one person, you have to get an actual legitimate relationship out of that, whether it's on the phone or meeting someone in person, right?
Yep.
You add that person to the 8x8. So let's talk about, what do they say to get permission before they put them on the 8x8?
So they're just asking for permission. Hey, I enjoyed our conversation. Would you mind if I followed up with you? A lot of people ask me if I keep them abreast of what's happening in the market as well. I'd love to add you to our VIP program. that includes that we send you some market data every month, as well as invite you to some of our client appreciation events. That be of interest to you? Great.
The VIP program, I like it.
Yeah.
You know what? That's how we're going to start selling viral marketing. Is you're going to create your own VIP program.
Okay, there you go.
That's my aha. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, and then of course they say yeah. Nobody's going to tell you no, and then what we do is, I don't want my have met database to be a disaster with everybody inputting stuff. So I created a tag in Boomtown. They click 8x8, and then my admin goes in once a week. So it's not a pain in the butt. She goes in once a week and takes everybody off that 8x8 and puts them into our actual database for our have mets, and starts the 8x8 process. So I only have one person. I have one person who's in control of the 8x8. So it's not delegated out.
Because they probably wouldn't remember to put it in the database or apply it correctly.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go a little deeper on that. So you get permission.
Yep.
People are prospecting. There's buyer sign calls coming in. There's post-it notes here. There's all these different sources of leads. And the idea is, if you have a quality conversation with somebody, you have to actually put them into some type of software, whether it's a spreadsheet or whatever, and you've chosen Boomtown. So everyone puts their contacts into Boomtown, right?
Yep.
So everyone has an account. So they own it. Everyone has an account. And then if it's a real relationship, you tag them 8x8.
Yep.
Now, the tag doesn't start anything in Boomtown. It just lets your assistant know to bring them into the real database, which is
So yep, on Tuesday. So I'm old school still. I still use Top Producer. Don't
That's
laugh.
fine. Top Producer is fine. That's a great action plan.
Yeah, so exactly. So that's what we do is she goes in and puts them in Top Producer. She has an 8x8 action plan. And then she schedules in Boomtown, though, they're every 4 and 8 week phone call. So she handles all of it except for the phone call. So because they don't have access to Top Producer. So she'll go in, take them off. She'll untag the 8x8, put them in the system, and then put their 2 phone calls scheduled for them.
Got it. So contacts into Boomtown, super high quality ones tagged 8x8. So it may take up to 7 days from they get their first contact, and they have them on, after she does it on Tuesday. Yep. That's fine because it systematizes everything. Then all those new contacts are put in a Top Producer with the
action plan.
There's probably 9 different owners, so there's 9 different people on your team. And then they add the action plan, and the action plan is what drips out the email and sends the mailings. Okay. Yep. Now, are the mailings sent through Top Producer through a mail house, or do you have someone physically mailing people on the right cadences for all of these contacts?
I have her doing it in-house right now because it's not taking that long. You think about it. I mean, if it's just not that much at this current stage. If and when it gets to that point, I probably will do it through Michael Lewis Marketing Suite is what we'll realistically, but for right now, that's what we're doing. Yeah,
where it pushes it out and it just automatically sends the postcard or something, through an API or something. I get that. Okay, good. Any reason they don't put them right in Top Producer?
You know what? Yeah, I just don't that's where we do all of our contract management, our client
You just
stuff.
don't want that getting screwed up just in case.
I just don't want a billion people in it. They all have their access to their Boomtown. It's their specific leads. That's what they deal with. And then us as a company will deal with the rest. So
got it. So the administrative person puts them on the action plan Top Producer because that's a real contact. So the real database is in Top Producer for the person. Whereas that's done. And then back in Boomtown, they have their phone calls scheduled up by your assistant.
Right.
For the 2 phone calls, the 8x8.
Right.
I'm getting it. Okay.
Yep.
So now 33 touch. So you have all your agents holding these relationships.
Yep. I got to plug my computer in. Sorry.
That's all right.
You're good.
Well, here's the question. So you have all these agents holding these relationships, but now the content is coming from you and the content's coming from your company.
Right.
Is that a challenge when it's their database?
A little bit, the conversation is, hey, one of the pieces is that I work on a team and then they explain it and then it comes from us. I've thought about it. I've thought about doing separate ones for everybody. And honestly, it's just too big of a pain. So it's more or less just having the conversation with their clients of that they work on a team and they work with me or whatnot. And reality of it is too, Frank, is the way I look at it is I love absolutely every single member of my team, But at some point they might choose to leave, and I'm the only consistency of that team to where it's like changing the message just doesn't work, you know?
Got it. So the emails come from Spring, they come from Utah Real Estate Life. Where do they come from?
Yeah, they come from Spring at theutahlife.com.
Sure. You can probably put the pictures of all your team up on top and everything else, you know, the areas you serve.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that just didn't kill my webcam. Well, that just killed my webcam. Sometimes when people call on Google Voice, it kills my webcam. So we're gonna have no webcam for Frank Closets going forward. So I'm gonna be a talking logo. I gotta figure out. Oh, maybe I came back. Did I come back? No, I didn't. All right. So anyways, let's just keep going with our round of questioning to kind of go through the whole process. So let's talk about your 33 touch now. Let's go through very deeply everything you do for your long-term nurture plan for all those contacts coming from your company.
So frankly, I feel like it's super simple. We do your viral marketing plan, which is 2 videos a month, email blast wise. And so that's 24 videos over the course of the year. We do a direct mail piece once a month to our database, as well as we do 4 client appreciation events per year, which allows us to be in conversation with them as well. So that's a simple part of it.
So let's go deeper in that. So you're 2 videos a month. You work with Vyral on that. And then you get on the call with your coach and we interview on the webcam. Or are you shooting the videos on your own? Are you doing the webcam interviews?
I've done some of both. I mean, the last ones I just filmed, I just did on my own. I knew what topics I wanted to do, and I just shot them at our house. And some of them are real estate related. And the last one I did was actually non-real estate related, just because I felt like real estate, if you're buying is fun, but if you're not in that process, then it's just not interesting to you, you know? So the last one I did was actually on the miracle morning of how to get your morning routine jiving to have a successful day. So
where could someone go to see all your videos?
They go to YouTube. They're on my YouTube channel, just Spring Bengtzen.
Okay. So you record your 2 videos a month. How do you come up with topics? You want to go a little deeper on how you come up with something useful to say to your list?
Yeah, it just depends on what's happening on the market. Like right now, what's happening with our market is it's on fire. I mean, we can't keep a house listed. We're at a 2-month supply of inventory, but and interest rates really low, so people are buying, but it can't last. We're at the end of a cycle. So just did a video on if you're thinking you want to move in the next 3 to 5 years, like your house isn't going to be where you want to ultimately picture yourself, then you might want to consider moving now, because you're going to get top dollar in today's market, you know? Some of it's just if it's what I feel like is going on. Like I just started doing the miracle morning and thought it was cool and think it's super impactful. So I'm like, hey, you guys, check it out, you know? So it just depends. But you guys help a lot too. Lindsay, my viral coach, sends me ideas. And I also am on the email list from several of your other clients. So I just watch some of their videos to see if there's something that I want to chat about as well.
Cool. Okay. So those videos get emailed out to your database. You're sending us your top producer every month, your Boomtown, or both?
I send you everything. I mean, I feel like at this point, it can't hurt to send them an email, and it doesn't cost me anything more. So we send you everything.
So you re-export your Boomtown and your top producer over to us every month, and then we append those, and it automatically dedupes and adds any new emails to the email marketing program we have. So you're not sending these big bulk emails out through Boomtown or top producer. I wouldn't recommend it anyway. They're going through a separate company. We use actually vertical response. So if you're watching and you're interested in like a good email marketing company, vertical response is the bomb. All right.
Right.
So then they get posted on social media, and that's all good. So we pretty much understand that process. That's what's covered in the database reset I mentioned at the beginning of the Hangout. The databasereset.com is the marketing plan we recommend that Vyral. Go download that. That's exactly what Spring is talking about now. Let's move on to the monthly mailer. So who are you mailing this monthly mailer to, and what is it? And how many names are it and costs? Let's go deep on that.
So in the past, this past year, I have, or probably past 2 years, I've been mailing them to anybody that I've sold a home to or that was in my SOI. And that list is about 1,700 people. The topics are just, usually they're themed along with like, I think February is like share the love, and it talks about referrals, or March is about home building because people are starting to think about building a new home. But really we've just tried to keep it to where they don't just throw it away immediately. They've been eye-catching to where people are like, oh yeah, that's clever. You know, we just want them to see our face. I don't know that that's necessarily the direction I'm going to continue to go. Realistically, I think we'll probably do something with more value content, probably more of a newsletter format. But that is what I've been doing is the postcard.
Okay. So roughly what, 6x9 postcard out to all those people first class? What does that cost you for 1,700?
I split it with my lender. So we split the cost and everything. And I would have to tell you, it cost me about $400 a month by the time we split it. So it wasn't a huge cost.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to step it up and make the marketing a little more useful, which is kind of the whole idea, how do you make marketing more useful? Check out, and for everyone watching, letterprinting.net. They're like the best they make letters. Like you just write a letter to somebody, a 1-page letter, 2-page letter, letter, and you put a stamp on it and mail it. And that could be a good way to step up your game with your mailers, spraying once a month. Other thing too, for those of you who are Vyral clients who are listening or watching, or listening to me at least because my webcam doesn't work, we're actually going to start putting together in the coming months like a monthly print 8.5 by 11 self mailer, where we'll basically take screenshots of your 2 videos, put a teaser copy on there, put a testimonial on there, and it'll be this PDF that we'll send you that's just an 8.5 by 11 that you trifold self mailer that you can upload your past client list, like your real solid database, and send out a monthly print piece for one of your 12 touches. And we're working on formatting that and systematizing that for you now. And if you're interested in that, you're a Vyral client, email me, and I'll move you to the top of the line for the beta test on that. All right. Do the same thing for you, Spring, if you want.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Cool. So the next thing that you're doing is birthdays and anniversaries.
Yes.
So I would assuming it's the anniversary of selling their house. No, probably of buying their house, not of selling it. So
and we also have their actual wedding anniversaries, which gets a little touchy if you don't talk to them very often and they get a divorce. But but we do have all of that at closing. We have them fill out a sheet that gives us all their information. So we send them a card for all of that. What
information do you ask for at closing? Can you go a little deeper on that?
Yeah, so we just ask for their names, obviously, their ages, and anybody in their household, their names and ages and their birthdays, and then their wedding anniversary. And then we also ask them at closing if they hadn't already given us a review, if they'd be willing to on that sheet. And then we'll follow up with them. We usually ask for a review prior to closing, but if for some reason we haven't gotten one, and so it's just super simple. It's great though, because we get the kids' birthdays, and that's actually like, I just had a client appreciation party. The last one I had, this cute little kid came up to me. He's like, "You're Spring. You're the girl that sends me a birthday card every year," And so we just try to make a point to send them something on their birthday.
That's great. Wonderful. And the last piece of the strategy, in addition to phone calling your database, which we'll talk about in a minute, is 4 appreciation events. That sounds aggressive. Right. I'd like to hear this. So tell me what these are and how you plan on pulling these things off.
Yeah. So the reason we're doing it is so we can keep in touch with our clients and have a reason to chat with them and see them that's not real estate related. And so we just do different ones. This year, like I have one coming up the week of Easter. We're doing an Easter egg hunt. We're going to do, I've just bought 10,000 Easter eggs. So I'm not quite sure how many people to expect. And our color is red, so I bought 10,000 red Easter eggs. But we're going to do it in a park and do lunch from 11:30 to 1, and then Easter egg hunt at 1 o'clock, and then a drawing at 1:15. And then this summer we'll do something at the water park. We can rent a water park out for the evening. And during the fall we'll do a movie event, and at Christmas time we'll do pictures with Santa or something. So we've done pumpkin patches in the past. We've done the pie giveaways. We've done several different things, but it's just a great way to see your clients and not have it be real estate related, and to be able to have a conversation with them. So
who plans all this?
Well, that's a great question. Right now, I'm actually hiring somebody to help a little bit on the marketing side and for the events. Right now, my assistant and I are doing the Easter egg hunt, and it's not it's not too hard. I mean, we do have the contributions from some of our vendors, and our lender and staff are going to contribute as well. But I definitely am in the process of hiring for this role. So
cool. Okay. Then finally, the last piece of the puzzle is phone calls to the database,
right.
Which if you're crushing internet leads all the time, you probably never really have time to call your database. Plus, it's like an entirely different mindset to call your database than to be following up with leads and see if they want to buy or sell right away. So tell me how you switch the mindset to calling your database and what the plan is for calling your database as a part of 33 Touch when so much of you or your team was just focused on working internet leads 100% of the time.
So I had them, and this has been huge for us, Frank. Like it's been a huge shift of trying to change their mindset. And so what I did was I went down and broke down the MREA model. It's basically for every 6 people that you put that have met, so meaning that we've got all their information, they said we could follow up, there should be 1 transaction per year from that. So I went down and figured out our average sales price and whatnot. And I broke it down, and basically for every person that they add to that database, it's roughly like $756 to them. So I tried to shift that and say, really, like, you doing this is $756 to you. And so over the course of the year, showing them that that's an extra 6 figures to them just by making that shift if they added 5 people a week. And so what we have is for their follow-up on the 8x8 is those 2 phone calls once a month, and then going to 33 Touch. The client appreciation events are partially the reason that we do that is so that they will call their database, because that's their way to call them every quarter without feeling like they're bugging them about real estate. It's just a great way to stay in contact with them.
Yeah, it's almost the events are giving you an excuse to call, which is what it is.
Exactly. Yep, and that's exactly why. And we also want to see our clients, but that's exactly why.
Well, we got to make sure that we're promoting your events in every single email and every video that goes out to your list through Vyral.
Yeah.
With a link to RSVP on Eventbrite. Do you set up Eventbrite registrations for all your events?
Yeah, so I'm in the process. Like I said, the Easter egg hunt's about a month away, so we just haven't. We'll start promoting in about 3 weeks prior, and we'll put it all on there. So
cool. All right, wonderful. So I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, we really went through how you were caught up in internet leads, and now you're transitioning your database, and we outlined an incredible plan. When it comes just to the core 8x8 33 Touch, is there anything that we've missed out that someone needs to know if they were in your exact same shoes, that they need to know about this before we move on to recruiting and some other things I want to talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, to me, I guess it's just been an aha that as we all grow a little bit, and we have to get back to the basics a little bit, because we're all going to be competing for the same internet leads and the same FSBOs and expired. So really work your database and create those relationships. So when the market shifts, you're not screwed, Yep.
Okay. So one of the things that you need to do is you're looking for great people to come work for you, right?
Yes.
Work with you, not for you, with you.
Yes.
So what's your plan?
So our plan is, I recognize that there's extremely talented people out there, but making that jump to straight commission is scary. And a lot of people can't afford it. Like, they need to live, So we have started a program called a junior agent program that we are offering a base salary, and it's going to be dependent upon who you are and what position we're putting you in. But we're offering you a base salary for the first 90 days to 6 months, so we can get you started and make sure that you're feeling comfortable, and that we can really hire the talent that's out there that wouldn't normally get into the real estate world because they can't make the switch to commission immediately. So.
Okay. So how do you find these people? How are you going to find people to make that offer?
So right now what we've been doing is we've actually been recruiting. We have some local universities that have placed some ads. And then we've made some job posts. And then I've also had people reach out to me, but I am open to any suggestions, Frank, because I literally, we have so many leads right now that I need some talented individuals and want to work, and want to work in a great environment. So,
well, in my opinion, you work for Keller Williams, and one of the brilliant things that Gary set up with the franchise is the owner is not the recruiter. There's a dedicated recruiter who's on salary, who's a team leader, whose job is to recruit.
Right.
So for you, your time needs to be spent 100% recruiting and hiring somebody to do all the work that you do.
Right.
Or you need to hire a dedicated recruiter, which I think would probably be the first thing, in my opinion. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. And, we are actually just branching off of a market center to create a market center. And so we just hired a brand new team leader, which is not obviously on our team, but I think for today, like right now, he could be a huge asset to us in recruiting. And then I agree with you. I probably need to hire somebody to do it, or I need to hire somebody to replace me and I do it, one or the other.
You can also go to your team leader and see if you can call their leads to see if, hey, you're being recruited by KW here to, work full-time commission, but if you come work for me, I'll give you a base on my team. That's how this works. It's another option that can be done. Yeah. Another way is the whole database marketing concept that we spoke of building a database, educating it with 2 videos a month and following up could be applied to recruiting very easily, where you start reaching out to area agents, stay in touch, send out 2 coaching videos, a month about how to grow your business, what you're doing in your team, and following up that way.
Yeah, I think that's actually would be extremely beneficial.
Cool. All right. So let's see if we can open any questions. For those of you watching, I'm going to enable the Q&A app here on the right. So if you have any questions about reconnecting with your database, feel free to ask it here on the right. Frank Hanna has a question. When you co-brand with the lender, are they just covering half the cost? Can you go a little deeper on the co-branding, within the scope of all the RESPA and CP, CPBF or something?
We do with them, we do 100% co-branding. So they're on it as well. And so if we're marketing on it, they're marketing on it and they're paying half of it. So it's just a joint mail piece between the 2 of us.
Well, we've talked to attorneys here at Vyral when it comes to compliance. And as far as when it comes to being reviewed, if you can say that 50% was covered, like for your 2 videos a month at Vyral, if they're included in one of your 2 videos, or, they're included on your emails and they're included on your blog, and you can make the argument that half of that fee, up to 50%, is being shared, you're good. If you start going more than 50%, well, you're giving out a little under 75%, they pay for all of it, well, you shouldn't be on it at all. So that's where it comes down to the proportional representation, Frank, when it comes to the MSA, the marketing agreements, which will certainly be scrutinized closer in the coming years from everything that I hear. All right. What about Facebook and YouTube advertising? Have you done any of that with your database, or try that at all, and any results you can share?
Yeah, so I haven't been very consistent about that. I mean, we do Facebook. We will target, like if we're doing an event, we will target in the back end, load up our database and target those people specifically. But I have not been overly consistent about sponsoring ads just specifically to them for a little bit. So actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Frank, because that is something I need to do.
Well, why do you need to do it? Just because you want to boost it up more? Because, well, I guess I'll answer the question. I mean, you can. Well, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's just simple. I mean, why wouldn't you want to stay top of mind? I'm doing everything else from videos to mail pieces. Like hitting their newsfeed every once in a while isn't a bad thing, I mean, I do the Google retargeting ads that we can load up our database, and our ads show up a couple times. I pay for it to show up a couple times a month in whatever they're searching for, or in their side of their newsfeed or whatever. But I haven't done the Facebook for some time now.
Yeah. Well, you could take all the emails from your database, upload them to Facebook, and you could run ads just to those people. And the same thing on Google now. You can take some banner ads as well as even YouTube videos. Those videos that show up on YouTube that you can skip after 5 seconds. You can play your educational videos only to the people in your database, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
What's really nice on YouTube is you only pay for the video impression if they watch more than 30 seconds. So someone only watches like the first 5 seconds or 10 seconds, they click skip, you don't pay a dime, which is pretty cool when it comes to YouTube ads, which I think is a perfect complement to what we do here at Vyral. So,
right. Okay.
Cool. What else, Spring? We got a little bit of time here. Might end this hangout early because this was an incredibly information-packed hangout, and you were very efficient in your answers, which I appreciate. And if there's any other questions, feel free to ask them here on the right. Man, I'm just out of questions. We covered everything. We really did. I mean, I guess we can go a little bit deeper on your thoughts of how you budget money. Let's talk about this. So we're talking about marketing.
Mhm.
How do you think about the spend and the marketing? Taking on too much risk with marketing? Should I spend that money on marketing? When do I cancel it? Like, do you have some like frameworks in your head of how you go about budgeting, how much you're willing to drop on lead generation?
Yeah, no. So I do have my books done every month through somebody who specializes in real estate and whatnot. So I can see what I'm spending on lead generation and all that kind of stuff. I really analyze it and will watch what's happening with let's say Zillow or Trulia or Boomtown or whatever it might be. And if I'm not getting, I mean, I don't want to spend $1 to make $1. Like at that point, that's really stupid, you know? So if I don't have a necessarily like, I have to have this type of return on it for it to make sense. But if I'm not getting a return that is substantial enough and I feel like I can use that money somewhere else, then I will. For example, let me give you an example. I a couple of months ago was analyzing how many deals I closed in 2015 from Zillow and looked at my ad spend and I cut about $1,200 off a month off of it, of just like, well, you know, this doesn't make sense. And I think sometimes we get wrapped up because lenders can pay for part of it as well, that we aren't analyzing it, but it just didn't make sense for the amount of money that we were spending. I felt like I could justify and use that $1,200 more towards marketing to my database. So I reallocated that money to some graphic designer, towards Vyral, to some client appreciation stuff that just I felt like I'd get a higher return out of.
Cool. Okay. Sarah asks, what area does your company cover?
You know, we are in northern Utah. So we're up in Weber and Davis County. Our branding is called the Utah Life Real Estate Group. And this year we are expanding throughout the state into probably 3 different market centers throughout Utah.
That's what I want to talk about, is the expansion.
Yeah, we just expanded into St. George, which is about 4 hours south of Salt Lake City. So.
Got it. Well, let's go talk about that expansion. That's something that I promised in the promo for the event. So how do you plan on scaling up this Vyral and your database communication into different markets?
You know, Frank, I feel like I'm fortunate because we're in Utah. This has been one of those things that I have thought about when we expand outside of Utah that hit a lot we went to family reunion last week. I need to reevaluate this, but for Utah, it's great. We're doing the exact same thing, just in all of our markets. So whether it's in St. George or up here, all of our branding is pretty generic, and the process and systems is pretty similar. I mean, we do have a different clientele in St. George, to where there is a second home market that I probably will tweak just a couple of things. But other than that, it's the same thing. I put her on a Boomtown platform. She's doing the 8x8 where everything's ran out of the hub.
Are you sending all those emails into Vyral to get your 2 videos?
Yep. Everything is exactly the same. And that was the one thing I went to ESO probably 3 months ago, and Kristen Cole she said, you know, the biggest lesson that I learned is don't do anything for your expansion team that you wouldn't do for your hub, or vice versa. Don't do anything for your hub that you don't do for your expansion team. And it really hit home because it was like, you can't really go out and have these expansions and keep on dropping all this money to reinvent the wheel. The whole point of an expansion is to take what you've built and just put it in a different market. And then granted, you have to make a few tweaks here and there, but you don't want to have to recreate everything every time you go into a new market.
Sure. Tyra asks, what's your budget for Google retargeting, and what do you specifically do it for? Listings, home evaluations? It's a good question.
Yeah, so that is a good question. So I actually use a company that does it for us, and we pay per listing. So if I do it on a listing specific, we'll run a 3-week campaign when we start, and I think it's at like $167. I also I have some ads running for specific zip codes is find your home's value. What is your home's value? And then I have a And then I have one for our SOI that we can upload our SOI into the database. So I have one that is just a cute ad that's like, life is sweeter with you. Let's connect, you know. And
Should
then
be
I have
RSVP to your client event.
Yeah, and I'm going to now that we have it.
Yep.
Plan now. And then I also have one that's for recruiting. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. That we upload the email addresses to anybody who's going through real estate school right now, and agents. So it just depends on. That was not a very good answer. I'm sorry. I have lots of different campaigns, and I'm
All said
spending
and done,
about.
how much do you spend on labor for someone to do it, and then what do you spend on the actual ads themselves? All said and done.
Yeah, so labor for someone to do it, I just have a template that we use that we switch out. So that's nothing. We do that in-house. And then the company that we hire to do it does it all for us. So we just send them the ad and they place it all, and that's an all-inclusive price. So dependent upon what my listing, how many listings we take for the month, that varies. Like last month we took, I think, 13 listings. So I spent probably $1,500 on it. And then for our websites and stuff, I paid in bulk I prepaid it for the year, and I spent about $5,000. They also have it retargeted for our website. So if you visit our website, then we're now
Pixels,
stalking you.
and you're going to stalk you. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Spring, how does someone get in touch with you if they're interested in working on your team?
I would love to chat with you. Like I said, we are hiring. So my email is spring@liveutah. And my phone number is 801-745-0745. That will connect you to my assistant, and she will get you through to me.
Wonderful. I want to thank everyone for coming. If you want to, this replay will be available here on the Google Plus page. It's also available on YouTube. And the reason you're seeing a big logo of me is because the webcam went out during the event. So that's why it's a big logo. And if you're interested in learning a little more about viral marketing, you can go to our website, getvyral.com, GETVY as in yellow, RAL.com, and check out our website. There's a whole bunch of great content on there, everything you could ever want to know about getting more business from your database. I recommend you start with reading the Database Reset, which is the free video marketing plan on the front of the website. You can't miss it. As well as you can watch all the other hangouts that we've done like this. I mean, every single one of them is with the top agent for right now under the Hangouts tab on our website. Subscribe to our newsletter, get more updates. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you want to chat, I'm happy to chat with you as well. You can request a free strategy session on our website to see what it would look like and the costs for us to work together to help you execute a video database marketing plan to your list. With that, we'll end the hangout here. And I want to say thank you so much, Spring, for your time.
Thank you.